Laurel Gray from Happily Organized, and I'm just here to give you a very brief introduction to WordPress. So this video is entitled Getting Started with WordPress. It's not really meant to be a complete, full brief on everything, but it's just meant to give you an overview on how the installation works and then how you can actually really use this for your business. All right, so this is just a picture of me. I'm looking pretty horrible today, so you're not going to see me on video. I'm just going to be walking you through using screenshots. If you ever need to get in touch with me, remember you can always email me, laurel@happilyorganized.com. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of WordPress. It's something that you install onto your hosting server, and it's totally free of charge. And it's just a backend so that you can manage the content of your website, right? So pretty much everybody knows that. I think the statistic is that a quarter of websites on the web are now actually built with WordPress. So you might have heard of it, but you maybe have not actually implemented this for your business. Or alternatively, maybe you have gotten a WordPress website built by a developer and you're starting to want to take over and update the site on your own. So the first little part I want to go through with you today is just a little bit about why so many people are using WordPress. And I've got the main thing there, it's sustainable. So you can actually grow your business and your site using WordPress. The first thing you can start today, you can develop your site behind the scenes. You can kind of put up a red velvet curtain above your site and develop it without anybody actually being able to see it. And then you can switch it on and make it live really fast. And I'll walk you through a little bit about that later. It's got thousands and thousands of really fantastic themes that you can overlay over the top. So if you just use the basic WordPress theme, it's very bland, boring. You've got to use a lot of coding to customize it. But what's happening now versus a year ago is that there are now so many themes that have got built-in theme editors where you can add beautiful icons, customized images and sliders, and it's all just what you see is what you get. So super simple for anybody without any coding knowledge to actually do it. There are thousands of plugins that can be added into your site that can make it so much more able to do complex things. So you can have your website integrated, for example, with MailChimp, your email marketing software. And whenever anybody adds their email address in on your website, it automatically updates with your email marketing or with your CRM, your customer relationship management software, when anybody submits a contact form. So it's really allowing for a lot of integration. In addition, you can also add in plugins that will allow for e-commerce or potentially membership on your website. If you have some training that you'd like to deliver and have it be spread out over time, you can have people pay for that. And all of that can happen over WordPress. Of course, the best part is you can change the content yourself, and you can also get continual updates to WordPress core, which is the software that WordPress is built on, and it gets updated continually. You can actually update it right within the software. Nothing happens to your site, it happens instantaneously, and you never have to really take your site down. It can always be live. So basically how it works, people ask me this all the time, and I know this diagram is sort of confusing, so I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to use the mouse, which I hope you can see, to just overlay over the top here. So like I mentioned before, WordPress is hosted on your hosting server. So let's say you've got a GoDaddy account. You can actually set up WordPress directly on your hosting. Or Happily Organized, we have our own hosting. You set it up on your server and it shows up as yourbusinessname.com on the web. How that's done is through changing the A records to make sure that your business name is shown up correctly, linked with your server. And something I like to add in, because people are often confused by this, they think that email needs to be hosted by the same person, or by the same company rather, that you've registered your domain name with. That's actually not true. So you can, for example, have something like Google Apps for Business, which I always recommend for my clients, that hosts your email on a completely separate server. Google Apps is great because it's always backing up your mail, and you don't actually have to host your email on the same place. You can have separate hosting for your website, separate email, and you can have your domain name registered in a different place. It's all about how you link up the records. So before you do this, you could probably figure it out on your own, but make sure that you will be contacting your domain name registrar to make sure that you're changing all of the records correctly. Okay? Again, WordPress is sort of database driven. So it's got all of your information stored in a central database on your server. And anytime you make changes to the content on your website, what it's doing is it's updating that database. So it used to be in the old days, the HTML pages, you had to create every single page and design it. And whenever you wanted to make a change to, let's say, your About Me page on your website, you'd have to go in and do it specifically for that page. And if you wanted the layout to look the same on a different page, you had to go and update it there too. Well, not anymore. When you update content, it goes into the database. And when you update the theme for your website or the look and feel, it will update across the entire site. So it's really fantastic. I don't want to bore you all with so many details, but I'll give you a sort of a simple metaphor for how WordPress works, and that should hopefully clarify. So WordPress is basically, I like to think of it as a house. Since your website and your business are so closely linked, people are expecting that you've got a website for your business. You've got to make sure that you are building a really super sturdy house. I'm sure you would agree with me. So before you choose your metaphorical WordPress house, you want to choose the right neighborhood, perhaps get yourself a nice web address that represents you and your business. You've got to decide how big your house needs to be. So how much development work are you really going to have to do on your website? What kind of functionality do you really think that you're going to need? Like, do you want to start off with an e-commerce thing where you're selling products on your site? Or do you want to start off with something a little bit more basic where you're just doing a sort of brochure-based website and giving information? You want to decide what the overall layout of your house is going to be. So it's a good idea to start building with some kind of structure in mind. Of course, the beauty of WordPress, you can change that structure at any point along the way, and it's really awesome and easy to do. And the last part is you want to hire a really good contractor. Now, unless you're going to be building your WordPress website on your own, which you absolutely can do, I believe that you're capable of doing that. If you're going to be hiring someone to work with you and bring you through that process, okay, which if you're doing it for the first time, it can save you a lot of time. And a really good contractor is going to help you learn that process. They're going to help you to make the right decisions before you even start breaking ground. And they're going to be asking you the right questions. And then I'm going to give you a little bit more information about that a bit later, okay? So during your building of your house or your business's website, you want to make sure that you build your structure really carefully. You want to be adding on things like flooring, cabinets, and built-in wardrobes if this was a real house. You want to decide on what kinds of plugins and what kinds of extra things that you want to integrate into your site to make it really functional. These could be, again, like that MailChimp mailing list sign up. It could be for your social media. Let's say you want to have Facebook comments on your site. You just are loving people making comments and having it link in with Facebook. That's just how you interact with your following. That's great. Decide on all of that while you're building out the site because it's going to affect the layout and design. Again, you want to be choosing your paint color, the molding, and all that kind of look and feel stuff when you're building a house as well. It's the same with WordPress. As you're building, you want to be able to go through and customize that theme to suit the design of your existing branding for your business. So it's great, even if before you can start your project, you've got a really clear picture of what your branding is like, your corporate colors, your fonts, your imagery, and all of that, because as you're building, you're going to want to incorporate all of that into your site for launch. Okay, and the last part is, as with building a house, you got to get that thing inspected. Give your website a link to your friends and your family, whoever is a stakeholder in your business, and get their feedback before you launch it to the public, because you might be a little bit too close to it and you might need just a little bit of feedback. Okay? Now the last part here is what you actually have got to do after you build your site. Now this is the part most developers will leave out, and this is where my clients come to me and they say, I've gotten a website built, but I had a server crash and everything got lost and it's all completely gone. Can you help me? And that's where I have to say, no, I can't. Actually, it's sort of like if you don't get insurance with your house and then you've got a flood. You know, nothing much that can be done after that, right? So after you move into your new WordPress website, you want to go in and, of course, really personalize it and be able to make updates and all of that kind of good stuff. You want to change your address, let people know through your email signature, through your business cards, everything that this is your new website, updating your LinkedIn, all that good stuff. Throw a party, so send out some email marketing letting people know that you have a site, or else nobody's going to go visit. And of course, you want to continue to be gardening in your yard and be posting, giving information on a continual basis. And the last part, this is the really important thing, making continual upgrades and updates as your budget allows. Like I mentioned, if you don't have insurance on your house and you have an incredible flood that wipes everything out, there's nothing much you can do. It's the same thing with WordPress. You've got to be able to make continual upgrades to keep up with security. You've got to make sure that you're making continual upgrades to be linked up with all the security updates that are happening. And you've got to also make sure that your theme and the look and feel is continuing to look and represent your business. Okay, so all this after stuff is really, really important. It's not just the building of the site. In addition, you want to make sure that your site is completely backed up. I recommend once a week, making sure the site is completely backed up. That means the database. That means all the additional files as well, so that you are sleeping easy and you know that you haven't lost any information if something goes wrong, which it happens all the time. So I've got a really simple checklist here of some things that you can ask yourself before you start to develop your site. All right, whether or not you're working on this on your own or with a developer, it's great if you can ask yourself a couple of these key questions, such as how clear are you on what your business's offerings are? How clear are you on your brand image? How soon do you actually need to get your site up? And what purpose is your site going to need to serve? Because this is going to really form that framework for your website. And before you can even go to someone to develop your site, you got to be clear about this. I know in all my packages that I offer, I make sure that I give clear consultation time, because often I find people are actually not sure how to market their offerings. They might say, I'm a coach and I offer coaching, but they might not have a very clear picture of what those packages look like, or even sometimes what they're charging by the hour and whether or not they want to make that visible on their website. So it's important that you are aware at least of how clear you are, because part of that service that somebody else provides to you might need to be getting clear about your services, and also getting very clear about your branding. So if you don't have the raw file of your logo that might have been designed by somebody 6 years ago, you've got to make sure you've got that. And if you want to update it, that's a whole nother process, and that developer might not be able to give that to you. So I really would suggest going through some of these questions and just writing down some short answers before you talk to anyone. So the answers to those questions on the previous slide are going to help shape the way you develop your site. If you're really clear on your business and you just need a basic site, this is where you might want to attempt doing this WordPress thing on your own. You might need 2 or 3 pages, about you, contact me, sign up for my newsletter, that's it. If you're very clear on your business and you need a comprehensive site, though, you may want to hire a professional, just because of the number of hours that it might take you to figure out all that niggly, crazy coding stuff. Now, if you're not very clear on your business or what kind of site you need, you might want to work with a coach or a consultant to get that clarity before jumping in, like I mentioned on the previous slide. And that's not meant to be a criticism at all. We all go through that. It's just having that level of personal awareness, because often web developers can be a little bit technical and they might just be expecting that you hand them information rather than being able to ask you those really great coaching questions. Okay? So my number 1 tip, if you're really stuck, something is better than nothing. Even if you've got 2 pages up there and at least it looks like your brand, your logo is there, there's a way for people to find out how to contact you, that's all that matters. And I recommend just getting something up. Okay? I'm just going to run through this really fast. Getting hosting. If you've already got hosting, check with your hosting provider on if they can install WordPress for you automatically. If you don't have a hosting provider, find one that will give you a nice WordPress package. Some people will do it automatically for you. Some people will charge a bomb. So you got to make sure that you check with your hosting provider. Again, that can be somebody different than where you've registered your domain name. And if you're not sure, please send me an email and I'll help you to figure that out, okay? Just laurel@happilyorganized.com. This next little part, I'm just going to run through it quickly, is about hiring a WordPress professional. This is one that you can print out and bring with you when you're having an initial consultation with someone. Making sure that they've got an existing portfolio is really important. Do they have a working knowledge of CSS or programming in relation to WordPress? This is super, super important. CSS is how you change the look and feel of your site. And if you're not getting it to look exactly the way you want by using an existing theme, you need somebody to be able to code this look and feel in for you. Find out what design experience they have. Can they create custom graphics for your site? Or, are they not going to be able to do that for you? Because often those sliders that you see, even your About Me page where you want to customize what that profile image looks like, you want to be able to resize images before you put them on the web so that you're uploading file sizes that are looking really correct for your website. Are they going to be providing all the graphics in raw format to you for later so that you can use them? I know so many people that don't get this from their web developers, and it really just is sad because really you own that if it's your business and you've bought those images. Find out what their process is for working with clients. I know for me, I've got a one-page sheet that I send out to people who are interested in WordPress. It gives them just a really clear picture of what I expect from them, what the timeline is going to be like for their type of site, and what are the main milestones. So a real professional is going to work with you on that, and they're going to be really clear about what they expect from you up front as well, because you're going to have to provide quite a lot of information. So can they work with your timeline? That's important. There are a lot of people are going to say, yes, 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 I can do it, can, and then you find out 2 months later they haven't done anything. How quickly are they going to respond to your requests? There needs to be a standard in place. And do they provide maintenance, that after portion? If so, what is the cost? Maintenance is not free, and many web developers will charge a monthly rate or an annual rate to do it. I know I have an annual package where you can get your site backed up and all that kind of good stuff. So check on that because that may or may not be included in the package that they're offering you. Okay, I'm going to walk you through very quickly the basics of WordPress and sort of how to get it set up. I'm just going to take about 5 minutes to do this, and then I will leave it to you to get in touch with me if you have any more questions. Okay, so I'm going to shoot over to the WordPress website now. All right, so I wanted to walk you through the actual back end of what WordPress looks like because I know without an example it's really hard to tell what you're dealing with. So I'm just going to go through very quickly. Now, I'm just going to use the Happily Organized website as an example. And you can see here I've got my page with the header, with the navigation, some social media links. I've got a little slider here where you can click to go through each of the different images. I have a newsletter sign up form, a 3-column little spot here where I give some information, and then I've got my blog below, and then in the footer here I've got the MailChimp way to sign up for the mailing list, my affiliations, and then a Facebook like button, and then the Twitter feed also there in the footer. So, and then it says at the bottom, 2013 Happily Organized. Now, in addition, I've got a couple of other little goodies here. At the top, I've got something called Hello Bar, which just is a way for me to direct more traffic to my Contact Us page. And I've got another thing here where you can book an appointment online. This is done with Schedule Once, and I've got another tutorial on this on the YouTube channel, so you can feel free to go and take a look. It really is awesome because it integrates right within the website. This place where it asks about questions, this is actually provided by a company called Zendesk, where you're able to search the support base, ask questions, and this is more for existing clients who just have got a problem and they need to get something resolved. And it's all linked in together with my support control panel. All right, now all of this is run through WordPress. And it's all done by me in the back end. And the WordPress backend looks exactly the same for every single WordPress website. So you've got a dashboard, and basically all of your main navigation for all the things you need to change are here on the left-hand side. So of course, most commonly, the pages. You want to make sure that you have got all of your pages set up really clearly, and all of that is done here in the back end for Happily Organized. And then you've got, by the way, pages are those ones that are fixed, so you're always going to have them on your site. Posts are those blog posts, basically. So you see on my front page of my site, I've got Getting Your Workspace set up, which is my most recent blog post from December 9th. And that's something that's actually listed with a date because it's current information that I offer. So all the posts go underneath a separate section, different from pages within WordPress. And they're all listed out here. The other important things in the back end are your media, so where all of your image files are stored. It's really pretty simple. In order to use an image on your site, you actually have got to upload it to the database. So I've got all my images here that are used on my website, including you can have Excel files, you can have PDF files, all that kind of stuff for people to download from your site. Okay, these are really the three basic pieces. And then in addition, how your site is customized by a developer is done through appearance. And you actually will add a theme into the website. So it seems simple, like you can just go and upload a theme and your site will automatically look beautiful and amazing. And in some cases, that's the case if you have a really simple website and you just want not very much customization done. But once you get that theme installed, in my case, I've got a theme called Trim Theme. Once you have that theme installed, you've actually got to go in and do a certain level of customization. So most new themes will have their own customization tool set. This one is actually kind of old school. I'm sorry, Elegant Themes, but you're a little bit behind. Newer themes will have a lot more customization, okay? But ideally, you want to be able to upload your logo, your fave icon, or that little icon that's in the top, which is not showing up here. You want to customize the colors, do all that kind of stuff, and you should have control over that as the owner of your website. In the cases that you can't have control using the theme, you've got to actually go in and use this thing called the editor to customize the code, and that's where you see all of that. That's where having a developer or somebody that knows coding can be really helpful, because sometimes you want to change just a small thing. It could be a margin or it could be a link color. And if your theme options doesn't allow for that level of customization, that's when you've got to go in and do the coding. So it's good if you're doing this for the first time or you have very limited coding knowledge to get a professional on your side. Okay? The other thing that a professional will do is help you to choose the right plugins for your website. So I've got a couple of them here that work really well for me. One is Contact Form 7, which does great contact forms. One is for Facebook. One is for Hello Bar, which I showed you before. One is for MailChimp. And you want to add in these plugins to help increase the functionality of your site. I don't want to go into too much detail, but basically the WordPress backend, any developer that can develop on WordPress should have a really clear understanding of how this works and should be able to give you a site that is similar to what you want, or at least it should be able to agree with you on what that is beforehand and before you start, and be able to let you know what are the limitations in terms of cost as well, because some plugins are expensive and you have to pay for them, and the same is for themes. Some developers will actually charge additional fees for giving you a new theme or for customizing things further. So you've got to make sure that you're really clear on that. If you are going to get help, make sure you're asking all those great questions before you start. Okay? So this was my really basic intro to WordPress. What I'll do is give a little bit more information here. I'm just going to go back to my keynote. I'll give a little bit more information about sort of, probably not the setup. I'll include this in the PDF file. But as you're developing your site, you also can have this thing, this velvet curtain that I mentioned before, running over the top of your site. And you can do this by enabling maintenance type plugins. So this can be up while you're developing your site. Not to worry, if you're starting a business and you're going to take maybe a couple of weeks to get your site up, don't worry, you can still have something up and a way for people to contact you. I've included some of the top plugins here, and I've given you some little ideas for what you can do after you've launched your site. Make sure you're shouting it from the rooftops, of course, making sure you're backing up your site. And some of the top maintenance sites that I like to use, I personally use Manage WP. There's also Maintain and WP Maintainer that will help you to back up and maintain your website as you go, if you do not work with a professional, that is. Okay? Of course, Happily Organized offers these types of solutions, different levels of WordPress development, Google Analytics integration, PayPal integration, Google Apps setup, email marketing setup, all sorts of stuff that are really going to help your website to be sustainable and growing with your business. So get in touch if you have any questions. All of the contact details are here. Again, I'll be uploading this PDF file and sharing the link. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, just email me, give me a call, get in touch. Remember, the first consultation is always free, so if you just need a little bit of advice on getting started, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Have a great day. Thanks a lot for listening.